Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today. I'm honored to be speaking with each and every one of you. Standing here is far outside of my comfort zone. I'm a welder, and I'm much more comfortable underneath my hood, starting fires and melting metal. The reason I am standing here today is to share my story in hopes to inspire others to make a change in 2020. I hope my words light a fire within each and every one of you. I want you to know that change is possible as long as we're all in this together. My name is Katie Hazelwonder. I'm a lesbian from a small town in southern Illinois. I live with PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Since January of 2017, I've been a welder for the United States Coast Guard and a member of Local 219. Eight years ago, I graduated at top of my class with a 4.0 from Tulsa Welding School, where I received the prestigious Top 1 award. After graduating school, I welded for a barge company on the Mississippi River. As I advanced through my career, I became a chief welder for one of the largest dredging companies in the country. I then found my way to Boston to start an exciting new chapter of my life as a welder for the Coast Guard. My personal motivation for inspiring change comes from my experience as a whistleblower. I never expected to be harassed and bullied, let alone expected to use organizational processes to address a hostile work environment. I had no idea advocating for a safe environment would be such an impossible feat, given how the Coast Guard boasts about valuing their people and doing the right thing. Let me tell you, I have borne the burden. I've been retaliated against, and I haven't been paid for 289 days. When it comes to the individuals that work within the Coast Guard, whether they are civilian or military, we must do better. We must be better. We must support one another, especially those who feel isolated or dare to fight for a better service. We must keep fighting for justice, full accountability, and equality. I blew the whistle after 2 years of being bullied, intimidated, and undermined because of my gender and sexual orientation. I was demeaned and mocked for my mental health disabilities, brushed aside and silenced for voicing my concerns. I was retaliated against and pushed out of my position for doing my duty as a federal employee, doing the right thing for the Coast Guard. They always say, if you see something, say something. As I observed violations of our policies, I spoke up. I repeatedly spoke to my supervisor about the hostile work environment. I continued to speak to him about how it was affecting my mental health, which my disabilities were becoming more and more unmanageable, and it was due to the toxic environment within the United States Coast Guard. I was repeatedly told to ignore it, told to be stronger than that. I went to counseling, I started taking medications. Today I take 6 different medications. Before all of this, I took 0. Since I was getting nowhere and the behaviors against me were only getting worse, against my supervisor's advice, I followed my chain of command. However, surprisingly to me at the time, my command also did not seem to have any urgency to address the toxic culture. I now know their actions facilitated and condoned the culture. They were not interested in changing the way things were, holding anyone accountable, or upholding any of the policies that we have in place to protect against such abuses, because doing so would mean holding themselves accountable. They seem to be proud of their environment and okay with the toxic culture. Reporting the abuses did nothing but escalate the behaviors against me. They refused to provide a safe and healthy and lawful working environment for myself and for others. They not only failed to practice the same laws and policies they love to preach, but they intentionally pitted workers against one another. They sent me on a wild goose chase, filing claims that have gone nowhere, created bogus documents to cover up my allegations, and attempted to coerce me into signing false statements. They have intimidated me, exhausted me, and angered me to the point of almost giving up. They intentionally wear people down, hoping that we will lose the strength to advocate for ourselves and others. Well, they got the wrong one. Thank you. This has made me smarter and stronger. This is why I say we're stronger together. The more people that are aware, that find the strength to speak up when they are worn down to their very last thread, the louder we become collectively. The louder our voices become, the harder it is to be silenced.
That's right.
And the more we will see results. The last time I talked to my supervisor, I went into detail about how things were not only interfering with production and morale in the shop. At that point, they were extending beyond work into my relationship and to my physical and mental health. I was actually told, this is just how the Coast Guard is. And if you don't like it, then leave. Well, I refuse to take that as an answer. I refuse to accept that this is how the Coast Guard is, or how the valued members, enlisted and civilian, deserve to be treated. No, I don't like it, but I also don't want to leave. I worked hard to get there. I deserve to be there. I gave up everything to show up, to perform, and to do an honorable job for my country. I don't want to leave. I want to stay and stand up to inspire the Coast Guard to actually be everything it claims and promises to be. An opportunity for people from all walks of life to be a part of something bigger than themselves, something that serves good onto this nation and all the beautiful people that serve to protect it. How can our borders truly be safe if all of the people who can contribute to protecting these borders aren't safe or aren't taken care of? Not just the white ones, or the males, or the ones that put up with the harmful toxicity just to save their jobs. Everyone. There's a serious problem within the Coast Guard. I'm here today to say there are a lot of people suffering. There are rape victims, victims of hate crimes, harassment, assault, bullying. It's so sad. What's even more sad is the civil rights program that should protect our brothers and sisters is just as toxic, if not worse. I have witnessed abuse of power, cover-ups, waste of funds, lies, setups. All of these things that severely distract from the point of what that program exists for. The diverse, hardworking people in the Coast Guard aren't the problem. It's the leadership that continues to ignore these issues and fails to hold anyone accountable that is the problem. On December 11, 2019, I drove 7 hours from Boston to Washington, D.C. to attend a congressional hearing held by the Subcommittee on Civil Rights and Civil Liberties Committee on Oversight and Reform, Subcommittee on Transportation and Maritime Security, Committee on Homeland Security on righting the ship. The Coast Guard must improve its processes for addressing harassment, bullying, and retaliation. I went in support of one of my mentors, Lieutenant Commander Kimberly Young McClure, who was a whistleblower herself. Her case was substantiated by the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General. She was bullied and harassed for 4 years and retaliated against. She exposed several failures of Coast Guard leadership and the civil rights processes. I also attended the hearing to bear witness to the testimony of the Commandant, Admiral Carl Schultz. For the first time in history, he was a no-show, and he refused to even testify. The hearing date was set to fit around his schedule, and I can share that his lack of appearance sent a message to the perpetrators that these behaviors in our service is tolerated. Admiral Schultz still refuses to hold anyone accountable for what his own employees have risked their careers and livelihoods to report. They are the true patriots, and I hope someday he recognizes our sacrifices to make the Coast Guard better, to make this nation better. The response is always taking a look or implementing new policies and procedures, but policies are moot if no one enforces them. Simply taping policies and catchphrases on the wall with Scotch tape does nothing if leadership refuses to abide by and enforce it. Writing new Coast Guard manuals is pointless if no one follows them. Training is a waste of time and money if leadership doesn't enforce it. Change will never happen if no one is held accountable. It is time for these individuals who are weakening the integrity of the Coast Guard to be held accountable. If the Admiral continues to cover up these issues and not take responsibility for what is happening, why would anyone else? The United States Coast Guard does so many great things for this country. We need the Coast Guard. Imagine how the incredible things we do would multiply if this toxic cancer in our workforce wasn't weakening the organization from within. At this point, 11 months into these investigations, I feel like I've been left with two choices. Either give up everything I've fought so hard for to get to this very moment, or walk away and start over. Truth is, I'm tired of starting over. I worked so hard for this opportunity, so I'm going to fight for it, even if it means I have to crawl. I am beyond grateful for the people who have supported me and guided me along the way through this journey. They have been few and far between, but they are the brightest and shiniest beacons of hope. They are my heroes. It's because of them that I am standing here today, with the strength to hopefully inspire at least one of you. When I went to the Office of Special Counsel, the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General, the Coast Guard Headquarters Civil Rights staff, and even Local 219, every single person who I needed to help me failed me.
Oh, wow.
I literally had nowhere to go, no one to talk to, and had no idea where to turn next. I felt like I had no other options left. Everyone that was supposed to help me just handed me off to someone else. Knew they wouldn't get anywhere, or they were in cahoots with the people I was blowing the whistle against. I was disappointed and I felt defeated. I was ready to give up. My mental and physical health were so exhausted. I felt worthless, unimportant, and used. Through the grace of God, I managed to keep an ounce of strength, and I knew in my gut this wasn't the end. Obsessively researching to figure out who was who does what, and who actually cares, I came across two people that have completely changed my life. Two people that have shined a light on a very dark journey and have inspired a light within me as well. Lieutenant Commander Kimberly Young McClure and AFG National Vice President of Women's and Fair Practices, Jeremy Leland. Let me tell you, the game has changed. I could not ask for better mentors in this fight, and I am committed to doing for others what they have done for me. I would also like to thank my beautiful girlfriend, Tara Noyes, the President, Dr. Lydell King, and Vice President Angela Hicks of Council 120. The late chairman of the Oversight and Reform Committee, Elijah Cummings, who once said, "You must have confidence in your competence." Most people who are hating you, they are not worried about where you are. They are worried about where you are going. I would also like to thank Chairpersons Maloney, Thompson, Correa, and Raskin, Congresswomen Norton, Presley, Demings, Ocasio-Cortez, and many others, and Congressmen Clay, Cleaver, and Gomez for their hard work and dedication to helping us resolve these issues, inspiring accountability, and empowering change within the Coast Guard. In conclusion, I want to remind you to be there for each other. If you are experiencing something that you know is not right, or witness others experiencing something that is not right, you do not need to be silent. In fact, you shouldn't be silent. Know your voice matters. You do have the strength to stand up for yourself, for others, and you are powerful enough to inspire change. Together, we are an unstoppable force. We are stronger together. We all deserve better. And with amazing forums such as this, I know we will continue to share our stories, affirm one another, and strategize how to ensure equality for everyone. Before I leave, I'd like to ask you all to stand up out of your chairs. Look around this room at all of our beautiful brothers and sisters and remember this very moment, because together we rise. Thank you.